Welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. This is going to be a 7-7 light language and a little kind of channeling potentially for my higher guidance team today, and we'll go from there. So my intention is always the highest levels of love, light, and unity consciousness, and we'll just kind of see what energies want to come through to kind of assist us during this time frame. Although, as we know, that time is merely a construct in this particular part of our reality or galaxy or whatever we might want to label where time is connected into. So the reason I share that is because one of the messages that's been coming through a lot from my higher guidance team is that when we co-create in the now moment, we're having a ripple effect in the past and in the future. And because everything is connected and everything is happening now, even though we are in a place of linearity to assist us in our journey, it's not necessarily that way throughout the entire multiverse, if we want to call it that. So let's see what comes through. So this is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis. Shua etike ma ishinike. Noe ao akuti yashu yenete ai yakuma heshene. Yawa hokuna nana eshe aho kuniti shian nana nekuma et yashu yenete. Ai ku shini a buku ni di shu ku isha ne te e di ki wa shu ne. O ku shia ne di ki ba ai shi ne ne ki a o shu ni ne ki di ai shu no ku ni wo di o kua a ninekini manana shineki by itiki by shune itikina atishi itima eka ni du a ushine ni a neku tititi shuke ma neneki da a di shuku yahe nete a dua Tila ate nakule heshe tikili et in nakule eshinikile bukule titishi titi ale henne kur at it ishtile ennet neki. Nishu titi kili ananeki ta yeshule enau hat it iti kili et ishu titi la anokuni wa yeshine. Tu kuhai shite ku ya he ni mao hati ti shu ku ye ne ma ye tu ni ku shi ne wa i pu ki ti ya shu ku ye ti ya ha shu na me ne ki ti i shi ne ki e ti shi ne ku a And just as we may use a tuning fork to harmonize our bodies, we use language and sound with the same force, if you will, utilizing the same force that moves through the harmonics of all things, that moves through the harmonization of the vocalization, the vocal cords, connecting in with the chords of harmony that can be felt in the linearity of the human experience. And so we use sound and language to assist in feeling into our environment, feeling into the variations that we have access to, or the multiple interpretations that our body can use as these codes are transmitted through the sound waves, transmitted through the air waves, transmitted through the radio waves, transmitted through the internet, if you will. accessed through the ethers, we feel into the resonance that is provided when we play with these particular sets of sound, sets of communication, letters and geometries of words and letters that are connected to numbers, that are connected to shapes, that are connected to colors, that are connected to frequency. And so for some, they hear these sounds and it feels strange, for it is not something they are used to experiencing. The ringing in the ears, this does not necessarily have a particular ring to it as it rings through the ears and activates certain feelings within the body. And these sounds and tunes and languages of the future, as well as those of our ancestors, the way in which these letters interlock and commingle with our own interlocking cellular mechanizations and feelings and movements within the body, harmonics. This is felt and interpreted in a myriad of ways. For the language and the words that we use are meant to be felt and interpreted in a myriad of ways. When we are connecting into these future versions of our own communication and linguistic adaptation, it allows us to feel into that future adaptation that is being felt now. And this is something we all have the potential to utilize, should we choose to. And yet not all will choose to utilize sound and language in the same way. Some will write out certain equations or shapes or letters or geometries or codes that can be felt when the eyes recognize the signature or the frequency held or encapsulated within that shape or geometry, and that triggers an activation, a realization, a feeling, an aha, a memory, a thought, and an interpretation of what these different symbols represent. This can be seen, felt, heard, and utilized in many different ways. We are not limited to what it is that we say or how it is that we sing or the music that we bring up from the body or the vessel that carries the sound in a particular way. As each person has an individual fingerprint, each individual also has a certain scale that they play within, a musical note or quality or conversion of geometry that is then expressed in a particular way, a particular dialogue, a particular inflection, this is the play on words, in the voice, or characteristics that each individual and unique expression of the source or frequency that moves through all of us and charges our human potential. For many of us are playing with song or sound in our own way. We feel in the way or the way in which we move with particular sounds and fluidity of frequency that brings to mind a desire to move in a particular way or to elicit a certain response, such as a heightened feeling of sensation or the desire to jump up and down or to sit and lay down. And we are using many different examples for the language that we were sharing in the beginning of this transmission is something that we are all sharing in our own way. For even the words that we are using right now in the English way holds a certain character of words, characterization of language and frequencies, and the way in which the language is presented gives a picture if you will, and a feeling and a representation of the communication that is being spelled out, that is being expressed, that is being expelled into the environment or the structure or the substructure that is held within the atoms and platelets and electricity and molecules that make up our reality, the elements, if you will. And so we are being invited to transcribe in our own way what it is that we are wishing to convey, what it is that we seek to share and express in a playful and expansive way. This allows each and every one of us to play, to get out of the network or the tangled web of judgment and doubt and negativity, perhaps, that are associated with that which it is that we do not know, or that which it is that we do not understand, and in some cases leading us to that which it is that we do not believe in. For many of us have been guided to believe in a particular structure of reality, and that is where we spend our time. That is where we weave our own energy, or we place our attention on that particular version of reality. When these other versions or variations are introduced into our scale, we measure based on what we have experienced, what we believe, what we know, our memory, our association, and all of the patterns that create that particular geometry of reality that we have embedded ourselves into. Therefore, when we hear something foreign or something that does not compute or is not able to be understood with our computational skills, we sometimes let it move on, and we do not necessarily allow ourselves to feel into the deeper capacity that these new, and not really new, but these new representations of communication actually have to offer. For we are not necessarily encapsulated all within that same reality. Therefore, we are being called to embrace our individuality as well as each other's, for we are all connected through this sound of creation, if you will, or we are all creating in this soup, in this particular field, and each of us brings to the field our own essence, and this is expressed from our own variation of how we feel in the moment as we interpret, as we feel into the essence of what it is that we are feeling within the field. So we invite all who feel into this particular transmission and wordplay to allow the language to wash through and allow that which has been potentially blocked, or the belief system that we have been interlocked into, to release, to open, to let go of what it is that we believe our reality should sound like, should consist of, and should be represented as. For we are each unique and individual representations of the variety of reality. We each represent in our own individuality unique presentations of our own heritage, our own DNA lineations, our own lines of connection to the beginning of our I'm just seeing light and sound. I'm hearing sound and light. For we are birthed into this world, each carrying with us the individual fingerprint or blueprint that holds within it a plethora of many different lifetimes, realities, dimensions, existences, knowings, understandings, and therefore sounds, and ways of communication. And while we are being introduced to this perhaps for the first time, or it may be something we are very familiar with, we are being called to become more accepting of that which it is that we do not necessarily understand or conceptualize or understand the conceptualization of. For within our linear way of thinking, or our patterns, or our maps that we have created within our structure to understand our structure, we are being called in this now moment to recognize we are co-creating a brand new structure simultaneously while existing within this substructure of the old. And I'm seeing what is it called? Subdivisions, or a bubble within a bubble. And so within each of these interlocking pieces of the puzzle that interlock and weave together a multidimensional facet of many different applications and many different ways of co-creation and communication, we open as we embrace each other's individual I'm seeing syncing up, individual vocabulary, individual representation. For we are each the ambassador, if you will, to our entire existence. We are a walking embodiment of our ancestors, and yet here we are creating the new from our own perspective and view. So while we have a base and foundation based on an entirely old application that is held within our framework of existence, we are also creating with a new, I'm hearing recognition, realization, collaboration, remembering each other, yet not quite recognizing one another in these new skin suits or cocoons that we all exist within. For held within this are memories of our true capacity for our connection through this sea or ocean or sea note sound. And we are reminded that we each carry with us a piece of the puzzle. And so we are essentially walking, breathing, anatomically correct, walking anatomy of the structure of reality. For our anatomy is one reality, all wrapped within a cellular matrix, encapsulated within skin, holding together different organs and, I'm just seeing a network of many, 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 many different collaborations and pieces of the puzzle working together in a community to create a walking individual reality that holds a name, that holds a vision, that holds a sensation, that holds the ability for life. And so we are invited to let go of the strife of lack of communication and lack of vocabulary. For when we limit ourselves on how it is that we are forced to see, and let us play with this for a moment, for this is a play on words and vocabulary. We are the force, and I'm seeing Skywalker, like the force. When we use the force to see, we see that we have been forced from one perspective to see only that which is in this reality based on acceptability. So we must begin to branch out and expand what it is that we expect to see and allow ourselves to accept in many cases, what it is that we see that perhaps does not necessarily provide us with a true sense of the expansiveness of our reality. So this can be utilized in many different ways. We must accept what it is that we do not necessarily wish to see, yet we do not have to play with that particular vocabulary just because it is that we accept what it is that we see. And simultaneously, we are being called to accept that there is more that we are beginning to see that truly does decode and expand on our reality. This gives us the ability to grasp and branch out and feel more of this exceptional reality. And we could play with this in so many different ways. For this is a different way for us to communicate what it is that we are trying to convey. For multidimensionality and the multiple variations of how we can address synchronicity or play on words or social geometry or spatial awareness and so on and so forth, can be interpreted in many different ways. So beings that are listening to this transmission will hear different things. They will pick up on different terms and words. For certain words will have a certain ring to it that is beneficial for activation at some level or some layer of interpretation, and that is the communication that we wish to convey. For part of what it is that we are here to display is a new variety of communication so that it may be accessed, or let us say understood or played with, in order to access more of that which it is that is stored within the human genome. For the human genome is a multidimensional stranded thread or weaving of many different threads and qualities that carry certain tones and tonalities that assist us in interpreting reality. So we are invited to open to the communication so that we may be able to interpret through this communication a variation of interpretations of variations or varieties of reality, aka multidimensionality. For how can we assume that one dimension is the only place in which we have access to who it is that we really are? For who is it that we really are? We are a storage system, one might call. For within our DNA, we store many different components, and each of us holds a different door to different revelations or revealings or different ahas and different co-creations. And we are here all now co-creating with the utmost efficiency to be able to move away from the old lock and key regimen. We are here to open and create new abilities, and in this we create new keys with no locks on them. We open the door to explore. We allow ourselves to be, feel, and express with so much more, and this is felt within the body. For we are opening a higher heart activation when we allow ourselves to accept the variation that we are all here to hold. Yet we hold this in oneness when we hold it within the oneness and center of our true expression, which is the heart. So we say these words with true heartfelt spaciousness and appreciation for each and every being who is with us on this journey in all dimensions. Kukukuahak in a stekeret nuch. Stekhenig en hannak ur stekhenne. Ke arhak ustahak in genehera. Usterhak ur mahak en kair hastuchenik are. Ki ahe niste achenik arhu rak enne. Hersche echen ishahai nahak ur in it istach. Kura stor en het istare ik era or et bek arestia dahar en ik era. Stia hor ook oerstenik oer bek era hastenik era. Dik oerstenik era haie siachenik era oer. Bara historie die stier anik it era ostor. Bera at itu kustena titi stor bat it ahar istik oer biesure stanik are. Diare hestien kiera hasti titi rastien kiera hastien intititor. Mokuya yashiane tipikuya anetiste waikune. Monane kiti ashenikuya heshine. Niatukuya shinine kiayete wayashuetene. Aishukuya shine tipaya kuya aishi. Yatia wo te kuayan ki by shuitina. Ni shu kuya yashia te ao kunishi pai kune. Ishi kuya te waya bo kushini makue tewa. Ishi ne kiki waya ta uha nishi. Me kuya shi ne dua tu kuishine. And we are honored for you to hear these sounds. We are honored that you listen to these sounds. We are honored for we hear your sounds. We hear the sound that we make and create through our own vibratory rate, for we are each producing a resonant, a sound with which in we resonate at. And each of us is sending out the signal at a particular rate. And this light or frequency or vibration is held within this sound bubble, we might call it. This sends out a signal and is felt beyond just this bubble. Beshi ki nene ki pa uku kuku a niti ek uku ne. We invite you to feel what is it that you are transmitting. What is it that you feel as you transmit into the field? For we feel this also. We feel this too. For we are all connected within this soup, within this field of signature frequencies, signals, feelings, thoughts, and we are all part of this. And so as we co-create and up-level from one perspective or merge these higher levels of the collective that we are all threaded into, we invite you to come into the spaciousness of the heart and feel whatever it is that you wish to start, the fire that you wish to start, the ignition within your own spark. How is it that you wish to communicate with all that is around, all that is felt within this beautiful space that we are all connected into? We invite you to send this signal back into the earth with the utmost appreciation in your own highest vibration of self-worth. We invite you to send out the signal of peace and gratitude. We invite you to send out the signal of excitement and joy. We invite you to send out the signal of appreciation and light, laughter. We invite you to feel your emotions and allow these emotions to be expressed. And as we all do this, we come together to form new waves in the ocean. These waves or charges or charged particles allow us to then fine tune and dissolve some of the frequencies that are not able to find their tune. We do this with a level of appreciation and acceptance, for all are on their own journey. And we signal out to the collective our own gratitude for this beautiful collection of humans and other beings, all beings who are here to express themselves at this time in their own variation or versions of vessels, in their own shapes, colors, and sizes. For if we cannot accept one another for the different types of communication that is being offered, how can we truly embrace the other lineages or other beings that are also part of this experience in multiple realities, yet also interlaced and interwoven within this reality? So we open our hearts and we give gratitude and appreciation for the breath that we all share in our own way, and for the space that we are all part of, for that which it is that we are in the process of co-creation with. For we are in the process of co-creation with you, with we, with us. And so in gratitude, we send out that signal. And so it is. So it is. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video and a little light language. I appreciate you and this opportunity to connect. And if you feel called to check out any other light language to go back and download, I am starting to put some available on my website. They're very keep it simple, basic light language. I'll be doing a few a little longer with sound healing and such. And I really appreciate you guys and your support and all that you share. And in love and light, namaste.